Uncensored, no holds barred talk. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is Global Reality Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another live edition of the Global Reality right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. Thanks for being with us here tonight. Late night Moonbat edition of the broadcast. Super duper extra late Moonbat tonight, but hey, we're live and that's all that matters, right? We had some stream issues the past couple of days and whatnot, and it's what's been going on there. Now that I'm looking at it, I think it's probably has something to do with just the stuff that's been happening this week. The stuff that's gone on since the last broadcast. It's stuff that I would have been up here screaming and yelling and talking about about. And so, this has happened a couple of times to me when there's been crucial things that I was going to get up here and cover, crucial things that I was, were happening that I was going to get up here and give you my analysis of. And, we have these weird stream things happen. So, after they, when they happen a couple times, maybe sometimes you don't always get too paranoid thinking that they're, physically messing with you. But, this has happened so many times now and on the same occasions. And it's always the same thing. It's undoubtedly, it's because they, they know that what I have to say actually, has some weight in some instances. So there you go. My website where this broadcast originates from is theglobalreality.com. It's www.theglobalreality.com. You'll find everything up there at the website pertaining to all my work, documentary films, See Right Volume 2, my newest one's up there, DVD, Blu-ray, packages are all up there. The research packs, you can get all the different deluxe packages. They're all up there for sale as well. Audiobooks from stuff I've read here on the show, clips, archives. You can also go to YouTube, type my name in, Josh Reeves. All kinds of great clips up there, pages and pages of clips. Archive.org. Archive.org is another good one. Go there, type in my name, Josh Reeves, Global Reality. You'll get a bunch of stuff, old shows, past shows there. And I've got some emails here tonight I want to read, as well as a whole bunch of news and information. And we'll also be reading from Zachariah Sitchin's End of Days. I'm sure we'll have, if we have time, I'm sure we will. But strap in. We're going into extended late night Moonbat hours tonight. Make yourself a pot of coffee and get ready. But hey, it's it's Saturday. It's Friday night going into Saturday morning. Come on, you guys can stay up a little later tonight. You got this. I'll try to make it as worthwhile as I possibly can, but I can't make any promises because I don't know. It's not like any of this is ever scripted. This is just it's on the seat of your pants stuff here, which of course some people like it, some people don't. But it's interesting because now that we've got so many new listeners, our listenership's just been going crazy, insane up lately. Yet, of course, as we beating the old dead horse again, as per usual, we get a dramatic, literally it's doubled in like a month. It's ridiculous. We've got when my emails, I'm getting 50, 100 emails a day now. I'm getting to the point where I can only read like the best ones on air now, But it's just insane that, like I said, beating that old dead horse again, that every time we get a bump in listenership or something, our support and our financial support does not equal that, it's just that, that's why I'm kind of, people say, well, why don't you do this and try to do that? If you do this, you'll get more listeners, and that means you'll get more support and donations. That would make sense. Logically speaking, that would seem to be the case, but logic doesn't always dictate what happens in the realm and scope of this world that I'm in doing this kind of stuff. It really doesn't. And so, yeah, logically, the logical mind would say that an increase in listenership would mean an increase in the support you get for your work, but it doesn't. But regardless of that, I'm happy that we reach new people, but I also, what happens is that the way that I approach my show and the way that I do things and the way that I'm open and free here, and I just say what I want and say what the hell I want, whatever. That's so different for some people that, they kind of get off on a wrong foot listening to me. And, I got an email here. I'll read you. It's pretty interesting because this woman wrote this email first, and I'll read you the first one. When she wrote it, I didn't respond. I was going to read it on air, but we had the problems the past couple of nights. And then, she wrote a response back, and her response back is equally as awesome as the first one she had. But it was just interesting because it just kind of seemed like she, at first, kind of got a bad opinion of me or something. Not a bad opinion, but just kind of, didn't get the whole picture. And then subsequently went back and listened, because that was going to be my suggestion, was going to be, well, if you don't hear me talk about this, you don't know where I stand on this, and if this seems, cloudy to you, go back. I mean, I've put out, my God, if you add up all the shows that I've done, almost 5 years doing radio show, my God, I've probably done 1,000 radio shows or more at least. There's just all kinds of stuff. I mean, there's years and years worth of recordings of me out there talking about different stuff in different years. And so, if you're a new listener and you don't know where I stand on stuff, I just encourage you to go out and take the time to, look into some other work and listen to some of the other stuff that's out there first before making an opinion on me. And apparently this lady did that. And it's just an awesome, both of these emails are really awesome. But, and that's the thing is that, it's so very hard to find something that's actually honest and real and not, some intelligence operation or part of the mainstream media posing as alternative media or something. It's so hard to find something like that. Oftentimes when you find it, you're at first skeptical of it because, you just become inherently skeptical about everything because it's so hard to find anything or anybody really. In this day and age, who's real. That's just the problem with everybody. We have become the fake plastic, mass-produced, faceless garbage crap that they shovel out of factories and mass produce and sell in Walmarts. We ourselves have become that. The old saying, you are what you eat? Well, we eat, live, work, shit, play, die in plastic. Everything. Your car, your house, your office at work, the stores you go shop at and buy your stuff in, what you bring it home in. And, this plastic world that we built ourselves into has caused us to become plastic people. And there are still a few people out there who aren't that way. And luckily, I'm standing over here with my finger up in the air, my hand up in the air with my fucking, popping off flares. You know what I mean? I'm popping smoke over here, dude. Like just hoping, hey, shit, I'm over here. Hey, you guys, if you're out there, you're kind of like me, here I am, fucking popping smoke, dude. I'm throwing up flares trying to find people. And luckily, we found each other, haven't we? You're listening to me right now, then we found each other. That's awesome. That's something to celebrate, because very rarely in life do you find those people. And when you find them, you want to make sure you don't lose them because they're hard as fuck to find. So that's and we've got great listening audience and just great people who support our work and donate every month and stuff, keep us going. Who are out there fighting the good fight every day. just so I can keep fighting the good fight, you know? And that's an amazing synergistic thing, and in a relationship that's rare to have. You know what I mean? It's so rare to have that in this day and age where people who are complete strangers can support one another and support what they're doing because of the information and because of the ideas and things like that. And I'm honored to have the relationship of those of you out there who donate and stuff, because I feel like I have that relationship with you, you know, like we have with each and every one of you, large or small, no matter how much you donate. I have that feeling with every one of you, because I feel like that we're doing something that not very many people in this planet at all are doing, which is, you know, for once having faith and trust in our fellow man and trying to change the status quo and trying to change things, and being able to recognize when you're a real person, you can recognize immediately what's real. And you know, that's the biggest thing about, you know, how I just go off the cuff and without a filter, without a net here, and I say what I want to say, and yes, it offends some people. But, you know, real recognizes real, and that's the thing. If I'm not real up here with you every moment, I'm not myself, folks, then I'm never going to find those real people. And I wasn't finding those real people when I was on networks. I mean, I was on AM and FM radio stations, y'all. I gave all that up to do this the way I want to do it. And you know, a lot of the newer listeners probably don't know that. People who were with me when I started this network in 2009, and many of you out there, many of you in the chat room right now were. You know, and I thank you guys for still being here. But, you know, I gave up all that. I could be on radio stations and everything right now if I didn't want to be myself. But I knew instinctively I would never find the right people, folks, if I wasn't being real and presenting myself to you as real as it gets. And guess what? That's, you know, that started to happen. Because, I mean, when you're real, and you're real with yourself, and you're real with the world, and you're a real person, and you know, you can smell bullshit a mile away. You can smell it, man. And the key to my being here as long as I've been here has been the fact that I have been as real as I can possibly be on the air. And, you know, if you get to know me, you'll find I'm not really nearly as crude off the air. Well, that, you know, depends on what we're talking about. I mean, you know, look, I have been known to initiate conversations on the finer points of, you know, camel toes and moose knuckles, but I mean, that's neither here nor there, you know. But yeah, you know, that's the thing is that, you know, if I come off some way to you that you don't like or something at first, you know, I try not to do that, but at the same time, I you know, it's hard for me. I have to be somewhat entertaining, and I have to be I'm a cut up, man. I'm a clown. It's just what I do. I've always been that way. You know, I was, of course, you know, I was the class clown, class cut up. You know, I was doing stand up comedy in front of the class in third grade. I mean, I shit you not. The teacher, we had a book fair one year, and one of the book I got was a joke book, and I don't know what possessed me, but I just remember going up to my teacher and saying, it was like towards the end of school, we weren't really doing anything. I was like, "Do you mind if I get in front of the class and ask and tell some of these jokes?" And the teacher was like, "No, go right ahead." And I was like shocked, really, you know. She was like, "Go ahead." And I was like, "Wow, okay." So, you know, I got up for the class and told these corny ass jokes out of this little joke book, you know, that I got. And everybody loved it, man. I mean, they just absolutely loved it. And, you know, I think that was kind of the first time that I realized that when I got in front of people and, you know, because people didn't really seem to really like me that much before that. But when I got in front of people and was just real and was funny, a lot of people seemed to like me when I did that, you know? So I guess that's probably where that originated from, and it's probably something that's always stuck with me to this day. It's a thing where, you know, this stuff can get so heavy and so serious, and you can just become so immersed in it that I mean, it's just difficult to trust anybody. I mean, case in point, me, I don't trust nobody. I don't trust a motherfucker. And, you know, it's bad sometimes, but that's the way it's got to be. But that, you know, that's the whole thing is that, you know, it's just when you have these radio shows and stuff that are done, you know, with these people affecting these fake radio voices and doing all this stuff, I don't even know how somebody can keep that up for 2 goddamn hours. My head would fucking explode. Shit. You know, but you have people that do that. You'd have to have a corn cob up your ass to talk like this for 2 fucking hours. We're going to talk about the New World Order. I hope you're ready. It's getting bad. You better vote for Ron Paul right now and give your Liberty dollars to him. I mean, my God. No wonder these guys are all into butt sex and all this stuff. You have to have butt sex to be able to talk stiffy like that. I mean, give me a head rush just doing that. Jesus. Whew, I have a fucking coronary just trying to imitate the corncob butt voice. But that's seriously, that's what a lot of these, even Patriot radio shows and Truth radio shows, I hear that stuff. And, you know, it's this stuff where, oh, let's talk about free speech and let's talk about, you know, upholding the Constitution and your right to free speech. But only if it doesn't involve saying anything bad about religion, Christianity, or right-wingers at all. Right. And that's what, I mean, you know, that's what it's always been. So, you know, that's the way it is. And I always have to kind of, I find myself, you know, every 4 or 5 months now, I have to get on air and do a 15-minute disclaimer for the show. Because, you know, you just, and that's great. I mean, I'm happy to do it because, you know, the more I have to do that means that, you know, we're gaining an influx of listeners, which is good. But again, you know, when that starts matching the support we get, we'll be doing fantastic. By the way, we came about 74. It was kind of close to $100. We almost just barely missed our goal for the month for paying the bills, but we did get the bills paid, and I had some extra from some DVD sales that we had, so we were able to get that done. But to thank you to everybody who supported us last month. We hope that you'll continue to support us. The price of everything is continuing to go up, so we had to bump up the Chip and Banner recently. So thanks to everybody out there for going with the flow with us. And we kept it pretty steady there for quite a while, but we've just had a recent influx and things. So, yeah, please support our work at theglobalreality.com. Use the Chip and Banner there. Support that. We have this month of March we're going on. This is it ends at the end of the month, March 31st, for the Chip and Banner for the first preliminary budget for the Rockwall film. I got to get that amount done this month, the month of March, folks. So please help out with that if you can, because my window to go shoot, to travel and go shoot and do this I want to do is coming up the first weekend or so of April. That's about my only window to be able to do it, to pull the crew and people that I want to go and be able to do it and stuff. So please help us meet that goal that month. That's our important goal of the month to get that done. And I'm going to go. I don't want to give it all away and tell you too much, but I'm going to go through several states and document mounds and structures they built. And it's funny, most of the ones I'm going to be doing are going to be all along the 33rd parallel. There might even be a trip to the Georgia Guidestones involved in this as well. Yeah, it's getting real. It's getting exciting, and the rock wall stuff heating up. As soon as we find out what the word is on this possible dig site, we'll be able to move forward on that. But what I'm doing is I've talked about this before, but this is something that's always fascinated me about filmmaking. I mean, even Hollywood films and everything else. I always wonder why films or when they start making them, like the first day of shooting, they always shoot like the end first and work backwards. And that's kind of the way I'm doing this film. Whereas, the stuff that we'll be shooting later towards the end and doing actually consist of the beginning of the movie, and the stuff that we're working on now will consist of the end of the movie. So just please help out if you can there, so we can get that done, because I'm not going to not get this done. The stuff I've been finding, you've heard of the shows the past couple of weeks, and I've been bringing to you the stuff I've been finding. it's expanding more and more. I mean, I cannot stress to you enough the importance of why you've got to make your own documentary film. The experience of making it, I mean, and I'm glad that I didn't miss a beat and jumped right back into doing it for the next film from the last one, because this is, I'm working on getting this puppy out by the summer. You know what I mean? It's not going to be a film I'm going to be working on for 2 years. I'm going to be getting this puppy out by the summertime and be moving on to working on the next film. And I love that, because, I mean, it just keeps me hot. It keeps me on top of things. It keeps me learning stuff. I mean, I'm having to learn about things now. And, well, every time you get into a subject, there also becomes all these side subjects and cross-referencing subjects that you have to also, it's not like you can just become an expert on the particular topic that you're talking about. You also have to become an expert in 50 other things that are related to your one base topic. You understand? So now I have to go, I'm sitting here taking a crash course in sedimentary geology, for instance. That's fun reading. Yeah, that's what's been keeping me up late nights lately. Sedimentary geology, the history of mounds and what particular tribes built mounds and all this stuff in the United States. I mean, it's just taking me off into all these different mineral geology. That's another one. It's just taking me on into all these different areas of research, and it's just so fascinating. At every point when I research things or I find something out, well, like the one I read the other night about the magnetic field of the wall being something like 85% stronger than the entire magnetic field of the Earth. And I found out, by the way, that's the stuff that Wolf Goss wouldn't publish until after he was dead. That's it. I mean, yeah, the wall has an 85% higher magnetic field than the entire magnetic field of the Earth. How is that possible? I mean, they've never been able to. Let me throw a theory at you, and whenever I theorize or speculate, I always like to make it clear that's what I'm doing. But let me throw something at you. Hey, just a theory. But what if? And it could be, because the more I look at this, and especially with the piezoelectrical properties of this thing and how it resonates. Let me pose a question here. What causes gravity? We don't know, right? We don't know. They don't know what. They still don't know. Gravity is a theory, and it's been put forward. And I haven't done a lot of research into this, but I've heard it talked about, seen it referenced in several things I've read. There might be some of you out there that know more about it. Maybe you'll shoot me hot links or something, but. I mean, have you guys heard of this? The stuff about, I think it may even tie into the Anunnaki stuff. I'm not for sure. Some of this stuff jumbles together sometimes and I make mistakes. I'm sorry. I apologize. But, well, the idea that the Earth actually has, it's an artificial form of gravity, that actually gravity on Earth is being produced by some, electromagnetic force or some machine or something deep in the Earth. I mean, I know people have speculated that it's within the inner Earth, what they reference to the inner Earth, and that the people who dwell inside Agartha or whatever it's called, inside inner Earth and stuff, are actually operate the gravity machine from inside. I don't know, there's no way to prove that, but I was just wondering if anybody else has heard of this idea that, of the Earth having an artificial magnetic field, electromagnetic field, and gravity is a side effect of magnetism. Well, that's, again, gravity, a weaker version of electromagnetism. Well, see, that's okay. Well, there you go. That's what I'm getting at here with the wall. Because, I mean, for this thing to have an 85% higher electromagnetic field than the Earth itself, it does make one wonder if this is one of my listeners had sent me a question last week about, do I think the Anunnaki built the rock wall? And I've been really sort of reluctant and not really wanted to go there and not really tried to connect the two. You know what I mean? I'm not really trying to do that, but if it does, that's fine. But Steve and Irving, Steve, Steve, he's been, I don't know if I've ever met Steve in person or not, but he's been listening to my show. I think he's been listening to following my work before I even had a radio show. which is just amazing. I've never met him, but he lives in Irving, which is not far from me. But it says, Josh, is my understanding that the blue shale in the north central Texas area was created about 320,000 years ago. That means that the initial construction of the wall occurred at least 320,000 years ago. Right. But, well, actually, that's the very top of it. I mean, you got 25 feet. That sucker goes down 80 feet. I've heard as far back as 500 million years, they're saying it could have been built. Sitchin says the Anunnaki came to Earth in about 450,000 years. Therefore, it is possible that the Anunnaki could have built the wall. It's possible they could have built onto it what it was already there. But you got to understand the rock dating and some of the stuff that's been done on this, the low stuff, the stuff that was done on the paleomagnetic surveys and stuff, the 70s, the low stuff is 60 to 70 million years. So the high stuff on the wall is 500 million years. So that's, to be honest with you, Steve, that's why I haven't connected the Anunnaki stuff to the wall, because I haven't seen, anything that said they were here 60 million years ago, 70 million years. I mean, you said 450,000 years ago, and I didn't even think it was that long. But I mean, I went and looked that up. Yeah, you're right. It does say that, but the wall is even much more ancient than that, bro. I mean, we're talking 60, 70 million years low side, up to 500 million high side. But you're talking about different. You can't just date the stone, number one, because if the stone was formed and shaped, that has no bearing on the time, because all you're going to get from even radiocarbon dating, or not radiocarbon dating, but isotope dating, which is the most accurate, all you get from that is when that rock itself was formed. You can't tell when it was done, but things that have been found around there. But there's the evidence shows that this wall was built on over millennia. It was built upon, someone built it in antiquity, so far back in antiquity. Again, Glen Rose, not far from Rockwall, hour and a half or so, 2 hours, you got, giant footprints next to dinosaur prints. So that's the whole thing here, is that you've got, over millennia, this thing was built onto and added to, and was definitely considered a sacred site for some reason. But my theory is that, it's not really a theory, it's just an idea. I mean, it is possible that the thing could be some sort of gravity generator. I mean, me and a friend of mine growing up had weird experiences there. We were going to work. We had missing time on the bridge right by the wall one time, lost like 4 hours. Another time we were out right by the water, by the power plant. And we got hit by some kind of like force, like demonic type of force. And we both blacked out. It scared the piss out of us. And we like wound up in a fucking Waffle House, like bawling and crying because we didn't know what happened to us. I mean, there's some weird energy around that area. And, it's made me wonder about the possibility of, well, it appears that, if some of these giant graves and stuff they found were found around the area of what is now the lake, and they buried that in and filled it up with fill dirt. And that, it could possibly be what we experienced with that energy hitting. This could be like, this soul or, an apparition of one of these buried giants. It certainly had a force and energy. I mean, I've encountered paranormal things before in my life, but nothing on the scale of this. I mean, it felt big. It felt like it had. It's I'm a pretty. I don't know. I don't really know how to put it. I'm very sensitive to vibrations of any kind. Like the spidey sense starts tingling on the back of your neck. I mean, I'm very susceptible to that kind of thing. I can walk into a room with a bunch of complete strangers, and I can walk up and tell you who the guy who I think is probably a serial rapist in the room. It's a thing where it's like a Sixth Sense almost. But yeah, it's pretty interesting stuff. But anyway, the point I was making is that it's so fascinating. It just opens up your whole mindset when you're making a film and you're working on a documentary like I do, and going down all these different trails and learning so much. I mean, it's just such a learning experience. And every time I make a film, I feel like I come out the end of it knowing more than I did before I made it. And I certainly felt that way both with all my films, but with Secret Volume 1 and Secret Volume 2. I mean, especially Secret Volume 2, I felt like there, and I do feel like now I have a much deeper perspective on all this and really the implications of it. And a lot of people go around making trying to, well, they really try to muddy the waters for people who are exposing stuff like I expose and others with the CMP and the phony right wingers and the JBS and all this stuff. But there are people out there who appear to be those same kind of people, and they'll attack Alex Jones and act like they're exposing him and stuff. But the stuff that they come out with, it's never even anything that's even at all provable. It's just could be maybe this, that, or the other. Not stuff like his bloodline and stuff like, the family members who were in the John Birch Society who got him started, and all these people after person who are all Jesuits, his friendship with Hutton Gibson, an ex-Jesuit priest, Charlie Sheen, the Jesuit connection there. I mean, it's, the South is dominated by Jesuits and Freemasons. That's what it is. If Alex Jones was from New York, he'd probably be a member of, York Rite Masonry. Or, if he was from Pennsylvania, he might be a member of the Chic Skinny Knights of Malta. And so what you have to look at when you're trying to find out who these people are connected to oftentimes is what is the predominant group that's popular, or is the thing in that state or that area? Because in Texas, it's Freemasonry. But of course, in New Orleans and Louisiana, you have the that's the head of the the Jesuit stronghold in the South, and of course during the Confederacy, the Jesuits totally controlled the Confederacy. So that's the thing. Why, I mean, even at first when people first started saying the stuff about and you hear that they're jamming us again. When I first started hearing the stuff about Ron Paul being a Freemason, I didn't really believe it. It seemed kind of shaky and stuff. And I always assumed, I figured he probably had more of a likelihood of being connected to the Knights of Malta or, some of these other groups, especially because of his affiliation, his college fraternity and whatnot. But, when I was making Secret Volume 2 and I was looking into the fact that his wife, Carol Paul, is a Order of the Eastern Star along with his daughter. And the rules for being an Order of the Eastern Star are that you have to, a male member of your family, direct family, has to be a member, meaning your father or your husband has to be a Mason, and you can be a member of the Order of the Eastern Star, the female Masonic order. Well, I started looking, and in almost every case, I couldn't find a current case where there was a current member of the Order of the Eastern Star that was a member because her father was a member. It's always, most of the time, because their husband is. So, that right there alone leads a lot of weight to the idea that he's a Freemason, along with the fact that in Texas politics, that's just the way it is. It's always has been, going back to, the Republic of Texas and all the guys that came from Tennessee, the Tennessee Volunteers that came to Texas during the Republic of Texas and fought at the Alamo. All of those guys were Freemasons. It's the old boys club. It's just the way it is. I mean, that's why in the Cigarette Volume 2, you see that handshake with Governor Perry and Ron Paul. And that's just the way it is. I mean, down here in Texas, I tell you this, it's just like in England. In England, you have to be in politics of any kind, you have to be a Freemason. To get almost anywhere, to get above peasant status in Britain, you have to be a Freemason. And even some of those guys are still lower rung. But Texas and Britain are a lot alike in that respect, is that to get anywhere in the upper echelons of politics in Texas, it's this old school thing about being Freemasons. It goes back to, Davy Crockett, the days of the Alamo. And that's why it's always, it kind of, once I realized that, I couldn't believe that I didn't sooner believe that Ron Paul was a Freemason. Because it's just, there's just no question to it, folks. That grip. I saw the other ones, the stuff that he's done in the past, the Ben Affleck stuff. I wasn't convinced, but when I saw that clip and I zoomed it in and I had the Cigarette Volume 2, oh man, that grip right there, that's a known Masonic grip. And what these guys do, and I'll tell you why I know this, is because I had one put one on me a couple of years back. I went to the world's largest Masonic cathedral in Guthrie, Oklahoma. And what's interesting is it's located pretty much in the geographically dead center in the middle of the United States. And we went and had a tour of this thing, and the whole time, he's giving the tour, I'm pointing out stuff, and that's a sign for Yahweh, and I'm like, yeah, that's Yahweh, but it's also, it's a tetragrammaton, and the guy leading the tour is a Freemason. He's like, yeah, that guy's right. So we ended up talking to him. He ended up taking us around in places that wasn't on the tour and stuff. It was great. And he kept asking me, "You're not a Mason? You're not a Mason?" I'm like, "No." I'm like, I'm not a big joiner. He's like, "Oh, well, you should be. You should be." And so then we're leaving, going out the door, and he shakes our hand. He puts a grip on me, dude. He looks me dead in the eye, puts his Masonic grip on me, looks me dead in the eye, and in my head, he said, "Join us." I heard him in my head say, "Join us." And that's when it dawned on me. I figured it out. It was like the missing piece of the puzzle, because I'd studied Masonic grips for years and looked at all that stuff. And when that happened, it was like, oh my God. I was supposed to go there that day and go up there. Me and my sister had gone to Oklahoma City to see Wilco's back in 2009. And we just had found out on the way up there that was there. So we decided to go up there. And that's when I realized, because that's what that is. That's what the grips are. That's why they do them. That's the significance of them. They're not just a customary thing. You wonder, why would these guys, why are all these different types of grips, and why do you see them doing certain ones at certain times? It's because that is how they are saying things to each other without saying them out loud, and when they don't want other people to hear them. There's a famous one of I think Reagan and Gorbachev, I think it is. I mean, it's one of the most insane examples of this executed grip you've ever seen. And so, they're shaking hands. For instance, there's Reagan and Gorbachev in a public setting. They do this Masonic grip, and they may be making an agreement that publicly on paper says one thing, but they do the grip and do the handshake in it. And when they tell each other in their heads, this is how it's going to be, this is how it actually is. You see? And I don't know how many people actually know that. Because I don't know if you could actually even know that is exactly what those Masonic grips are for, unless you've experienced something like that, that I have. So that's, interesting stuff. Let's get into some emails here tonight. Let's see here. This is from Rob. He says, "Hey, Josh, the other day you mentioned your dealings with John Stadtmiller, and I laughed myself silly. I don't want to beat ... But when I wrote you about Bob Dobbs, I guess it was pure synchronicity, since Stadtmiller was the show that Bob called and did an SSC pattern interrupt with him. That is really funny. I heard that Bob got him pissed once, and I searched for it and to hear what it was all about. I never listened to Scat Miller. Oh, I'm sorry, Stat Miller. I call him Scat Miller. And and to me, he came out emotionally unstable. It also can be that Bob got to him. Anyway, you should find it entertaining. Okay, so funny stuff from Scat Miller. All right, well, thanks. I'll check that out. Oh, man, it's funny in and of itself. Okay, here's the one I wanted to read from earlier. This is Janaea sent us an email, I think earlier in the week or last week, but she's a new listener. And so I'm going to read Janaea's email here, and I'm not going to comment on these. I'm going to come back to this email and comment on the things in it after I read her follow-up email, which I got earlier tonight. She says, hello, Josh. First, allow me to express how much I like your program. I've been listening to these types of shows for quite some time, and I think yours will become a regular for me if I can get beyond my next point. You are the Howard Stern of the geopolitical genre, and as a female, I would appreciate a little more decorum. Well, first off, I got to say, I hope this didn't offend you or make you mad, but I actually do kind of take that as a compliment. You know, I mean, if you put me up there with Stern now, I mean that's big. Pay me like Stern, and we'll be all good. But that's not going to happen because frankly, he's kosher and I'm not. So we see who's going to get the big bucks in that situation. But I do want to comment though before I go any further. You seem to be capable of reining it in on other people's shows. Do you have such a high ratio of males in your listening audience that this is a positive feature? I kind of said all I wanted to say about that earlier. I'm just being myself. But I'll tell you what, I'll be honest with you. I'll be real honest with you, Janae here. We actually have a very quite significant, quite large female listening audience, and have from the very beginning. I mean, I've got some fantastically wonderful, just brilliant female listeners out there who get it and who research it and are there, who know their shit. And I've never once heard from any of them in a negative way about anything I've ever said. You know who I've heard stuff from the most? Guys. How fucked up is that? But Janae, you have the you have the distinction of being the first female I've had that's actually had a problem with that stuff. But you know what? I mean, the thing about it is, and I don't take offense to any of the stuff in this email, Janaea. She followed it up with a great email, but I just wanted to read both. Well, the point of the matter is that, at least you notice, at least she's being civil and at least she's being respectful. That's been my problem with all the other emails that I've gotten in the past from people who don't like the way I talk and all the stuff, like the stuff I get into, or the fact that I cuss. Is you guys have heard them. I've read here on my like die, fuck you, die, quit cussing on your show, fuck you. How are you going to sit here and say fuck you, die, fuck you, quit cussing on your show, fuck you? How about you quit cussing in your emails, Jack? But no, I mean, that's literally the stuff I've gotten has just been venomous, anger directed stuff at me. And I just, I really appreciate the fact that Janaea is being, she's asking questions here. But yeah, I mean, I got to tell you, we have a large male listening audience. We also have a large female listening audience. We have, I'm very proud of the fact that we have a very diverse listening audience from males, females, black, white, old, young, brown, green, blue, all over the place. And that's something I've worked very hard to build here, is because, I never understood why all the truth, the shows that were supposed to be being about truth were always like right-wing male, gun-owning Christian. Like, that was like, what? So you can only be for the truth if you're those things? I mean, that was the whole thing when I first got involved in the 9/11 truth movement. I got involved in this stuff for the truth, not to run around out in a field like some half-ass fucking, Green Beret wannabe weekend warrior stuff. And all of a sudden, it's like every show I'm hearing, it's like where people are talking about guns and ammo and and storable foods and stuff like this, right hand in hand with stuff about 9/11 and JFK, and I'm like, wait a minute. How many guns do you have, or I have, or whoever has, or how much ammo you have? What does that have to do with the information hand? Nothing, not a damn thing. That should be your first clue that these merchants of alleged truth are not merchants of truth, but merchants of divide and conquer. I've been making my way through your documentaries and your radio shows and have some questions that I hope will be answered at some point. I get that you don't like Alex Jones and understand your reasons why. I also get that you don't like Ron Paul. I also speculate why I've never heard you explain, just allude to your distrust for him. I hope I'm getting this next one right, but maybe I'm missing something. People who believe that 9/11 was not conducted by Muslim terrorists, not that it was an inside job as in done by our legitimate government, makes America look bad and the world hate us. I don't think I recall I ever said that. I say that people who don't believe 9/11 was not conducted by Muslim terrorists makes America look bad and the world hate us. No, I've never said that. I've actually said many times that I think that the truth about 9/11, that is the story that's not the story they told us in the mainstream media, and that coming out has been used and is continuing to be used to scapegoat the United States alone for the involvement in 9/11 when you had, Israeli Mossad all over it. You had MI6 all over it. A lot more countries than just the United States and Bush and Cheney and Condi Rice sitting in a room dreaming up flying airplanes into a building. That just wasn't a reality. But they have used this, and they're continuing to use 9/11 to demonize the United States so that they can justify bringing us down, tanking our economy, so they can bring us down to the level that China is and get the world order. But as I stated earlier in the week, I don't give a rat's ass how 9/11 happened anymore. It's not important to me. You can give a rat's ass. I know that what they told us was a lie, and I know these fuckers that run this world power structure did it, and that's all I need to know. But there are so many unanswered questions, and there's so much we don't know, but we've been, all of us at some point, especially those of us who get involved in the truth movement or research community, for so long we allowed ourselves to believe we had all of the picture, and that the people that, whose books we were reading or whose radio shows we were listening to or whose movies we were watching were giving us all the information. And I'm here to tell you, folks, they just aren't. And I don't claim to give all the answers either because I don't know them all. But at least I'm trying to do my part to go down these other areas, to look underneath the surface, to look beyond what the intelligentsia of both mainstream and alternative media are trying to give us. There is way more to that. But again, once you get caught up in these, in these divisionary things where because people just get bogged down in 9/11. It's such, they've turned the psyop of 9/11. They even turned the conspiracy culture researching, trying to figure out the truth about it into a psychological operation. That's how slick these fuckers are. So I don't know what you mean by, people who believe 9/11 was not conducted by Muslim terrorists makes America look bad and the world hate us. I never have ever in my life said that or ever once believed that, even back before I was doing radio when I didn't know near as much as I know now. No. But I believe that they're going to continue to try to use, eventually it's going to come out, all the stuff, but it's not going to be the real truth. What they're going to do is they're going to try to close the door on the 9/11 thing by later on coming out admitting and saying that they used, something that they have now proof that thermite was used and, the United States government itself was involved with it and probably the Bush administration, blah, blah, blah. And they'll neatly blame it on Bush and the Bush administration, and it'll be tucked away and everybody will think that that's the end of it, but it'll never be the real explanation for what happened. And the other people that were involved in it, Israeli Mossad, British intelligence, on and on and on, will go on completely unscathed. And that's what I think is the most dangerous thing about 9/11 is that, yeah, the truth's going to come out eventually, but the people who have been telling us about the truth have not been, have been hiding it all along. Have I seen Dr. Judy Wood's research? Yeah, I have. I'm not into Dr. Judy Wood's research, and I'm not into fucking Uncle Fetzer or any of those clowns and the space beams and all that stuff. And I'll tell you why. There's a guy. Fuck it. I'll just tell you his name. It's been long enough now. The guy that writes the George Washington blog, his name's George Washington. It's the blog, George Washington blog. I didn't even know that he even, I just assumed he was from somewhere else, but I didn't even know he lived around my area. At one time when we were at a 9/11 meeting, 9/11 Truth meeting back in like 2007, so right before I started on air, and I've never told this story on air before, but you know what? I just don't care anymore, so I'm going to tell it now. He told me, George Washington told me that he was going on a radio show with Judy Wood. It was like a round table thing. It was with Judy Wood and James Fetzer and some guy who believes it was thermite or thermate. I can't remember what guy it was. It may have been David Ray Griffin or somebody like that. But essentially, between the commercials, they were trying to convince him of why he should go along with the laser beam thing and trying to get them to gang up on this other guy who was the guest for not going along with the space beam thing. And really, conniving stuff behind the scenes to try and get people by force to believe in their space beam theory. And it's funny because that's like I talked about the other night. I've seen that same type of behavior out of the no planers as well. It's like they have, you have to believe what they believe. Otherwise, they're going to try and defame you and say that you're the enemy. Instead of saying the truth, which is none of us know and none of us will ever know. And that's the truth. And you can speculate that you have all the facts, that you've got 9/11 pinned down 7 ways to Sunday. But let me tell you, bucko, I don't care how much information you think you have. You're never going to know the truth because these people use the most sophisticated technology they had that was light years ahead of what people thought was even possible to even have in 2001. And that's what they use. And that's what they will use again when they try to pull off another one of these events. So we can speculate till the cows come home. It doesn't matter. It doesn't change things. It doesn't bring the dead back. And it does not change the things they've done to this country and this world since then to justify everything they've done in the name of 9/11. And it gets me fucking mad every time I talk about it because, it wasn't enough. I mean, everybody's got this, goddamn righteous, holier than thou view on 9/11, to this day. And people still can't wake up to the fact that, if that indeed was a real terrorist attack, then the terrorists have won by definition. One last thing. Oh God, this old fucking chestnut. What's with the Zechariah Sitchin Bible study? I've explained this 1,000 times. I'm reading Zechariah Sitchin's work, not as an endorsement of his work, but because I'm trying to get to the truth of it instead of just, oh, he's full of shit. No, that stuff is real. The Sumerian texts are real. These translations are real. Now, the stuff that he speculates on, how he tries to make Nibiru be a planet and all this stuff, I don't get into all that. I don't support all his theories and everything else either. But I have gone and double-checked the scholarly interpretations and cross-referenced those with his, and they're almost exactly the same in every case. But again, just because Zechariah Sitchin's an ass clown, Fed, Rockefeller plant, whatever you want to call him, does not mean that the information that we're talking about is not real. Same thing with it that they do with Eric John Phelps and the fucking Vatican assassin stuff. Just because he's a clown and he's a Zionist Israeli diamond dealer, that means that all the information he puts out is false? It absolutely isn't. In fact, a lot of the stuff he's put out is absolutely right on. But he has a limited audience in his reach because of his bigotry and his racist Nazi stuff he says about creating, segregated states and all this stuff. He literally says, they said that on Red Eyes. He believes that segregated states should be created in the United States. But that's what they do, don't you see? They create these people that are easy to discredit and then associate that information with them. And that way, when you bring up this, it's like 9/11 Truth. They did the same thing with 9/11 Truth. You bring up 9/11 Truth, now all of a sudden somebody brings up Alex Jones. Just because Alex Jones is a fucking clown doesn't change the fact that we were lied to on 9/11. But if you bring that up, oh yeah, Michael Moore and Alex Jones must be your buddies. Mm-hmm. So that's the first one Janaea sent. And here's her follow-up email that she sent tonight. And she says, listen to this polar shift here. She says, Josh, okay, since last I wrote you, I've listened to many hours of your radio shows and some of your documentaries. I'm looking forward to listening a lot more. I must say that you've driven the last nail in the Alex Jones coffin for me, and I've been a subscriber of his off and on for years. I've always had suspicions and disagreements with him, but felt that even if he was not what he seemed or presented himself to be, an unwitting pawn. Well, have you got yourself a copy of The Secret Right Volume 2 yet, Janae? You know, the whole thing's not out on online yet for free, not the whole thing. And the end part of that movie that deals with Alex Jones and some of the Ron Paul stuff and that kind of thing, it's at the end of the film, and that's not online yet. But once you see that, Janae, it'll have it'll be coffin nails for you. He had some really questionable affiliations and guests, etc. I really appreciated his news coverage and would sign up again only to cancel after some insufferable event on his show. After another hiatus, I signed up again about a month ago to see what his TV news show was all about, and will be canceling again probably for the last time. I'm a therapist, and I know that once people really see something for what it is, it's impossible to go back to not knowing and having any personal integrity. That's right. Once you see Jones for what he really is, you can't go back. I'm also no longer a Ron Paul supporter. I'm convinced that he is a bad guy, but I'm starting to worry that this is an intentional pressure cooker situation and want no part. I was a precinct leader making calls. I never support politicians and hope to be a delegate for the Washington caucus tomorrow, but I think there's a reason I heard you when I did. I might go sit in the parking lot to observe the activity. I'm going to cancel some of my other online subscriptions and send my support your way. Thank you so much, and I think you are the real deal. Unbelievable. Janae, you're amazing. Thank you. That's incredible. That's incredible. I got goosebumps. That gets a tear in my eye, man. I mean, you hear that? You heard the other email, folks. You heard what she said before. And that's all I ask of anybody is just, if you don't like what you're hearing at first, just go back and listen to it. Just go back and listen to more stuff. I've got hours of stuff out there. It's just like when you get to know somebody, you meet somebody for the first time, and your friend says, for instance, let's say that, because this happened to me the other night, but, let's say that your friend says, starts going out with a new girl and, hey, man, what do you think about this person? My buddy has a new girlfriend and he asked me that, so what do you think about her? And I'm like, honestly, man, I can't really say. I mean, just being 100% honest with him, totally honest with him. I was like, I can really, I can't. I just met the person one time. I would hate to make assumptions about someone, you know what I mean? And try to think that I know that person or have an opinion about them only meeting them once. And that's kind of the same thing here with what I do in my show and my work, if on your first impression, you don't like what you hear, please, I encourage you to go back and listen to a lot more of my work and listen to some of the different stuff I've talked about before making your decision. But listen to that. Did you hear what she just said, folks? You heard what she said before. She went from, still maybe thinking Ron Paul and Alex Jones are maybe good to saying, they were talking about the day before the caucuses. She was going to be a delegate. That's big time. A state delegate? You're telling me that I just convinced you the day before the caucuses to not be a state delegate anymore? That's amazing. That's incredible. That's one of the most amazing things I've ever heard. Well, thank you, Janae. You don't have to thank me. Thank you for being smart enough to be one of those people who has a brain and a soul and somebody. Don't thank me. I'm thanking you. Who, because there's not a whole lot of us out here. And again, as I was saying earlier in the show, that's what I'm doing. I'm out here popping smoke, dude. I'm popping flares, trying to find people. And here's Janaea. The last minute, she finds us. I'm going to be a delegate for the Washington caucuses tomorrow, but I think there's a reason I heard you when I did. I might go and sit in the parking lot just to observe that's incredible. That's incredible because Janaea, those people are not there for you. They're there to serve themselves. And, Ron Paul just happens to say the right things to a lot of people. And in this day and age, it's not hard to do that. But a politician is a politician. And you're just a fool to think that anybody involved at that level is not playing the game with the big boys, because they are. It's a fact. And the research shows you that if you look at this stuff long enough. I just, that's incredible. Well, thanks, Janaea. And, I didn't mean to come off as harsh on the other stuff, but, that's why I wanted to read both emails. Cause, again, I don't mind if people send me emails and say they don't like me cussing or anything, but I've never gotten an email like I got from Janaea here with somebody being actually, being nice and polite about it and saying, being diplomatic and saying, look, here's how I feel. She was expressing how she felt. She wasn't coming at me saying, fuck you, you're an asshole. How dare you cuss? I mean, it's kind of the thing like with Bill Hicks, the Bill Hicks joke. Hey, buddy, come here. Hey, buddy, come here. And he's, pushing away or the pushing motion. Obviously, you're not a physics major. It's kind of that kind of thing. I don't like you cussing, you motherfucker. Suck my dick, you cussing piece of shit. I mean, literally, I've gotten emails like that. And of course, my response is, fuck you. Don't tune in, suck a dick. Fuck off. And so there's probably people out there who expected that response from an email like Janaea's the first one that we read. But no, I mean, again, she presented that in a way where, wow, why can't it just be you expressing how you feel? And not doing it in a, let's get mad in WWF and throw people up against the wall for, way. I don't know. It's just awesome. But I mean, that's incredible, Janaea. And we're glad to have you on board and have you on board as a listener. And, there's just hours of stuff out there. Go through and listen to hours, go listen to a lot of that other stuff. I'm glad you did listen to more. Cause that's what it's, I mean, see folks, you can do something. You think that doing something, being involved in this, you can't make a difference. You can. It's not always easy doing this. I mean, we just paid the bill, so we got almost zero in the bank account right now, but I'm not frowning because I'm doing that. You understand? I mean, man, oh man, it's amazing. Well, I'm going to take a break real quick. Come back. I think that's all the all the emails we have come back, and then we're going to jam through some news tonight. Don't know if we'll end up reading any tonight or not. We'll see. But I got to get through the news stories. I think that's some important stuff I want to talk about. We're going to talk about Breitbart, Andrew Breitbart, stuff surrounding that. Something somebody sent me concerning Alex Jones that I want to talk about and give you my take on. TheGlobalReality.com is our website. Chip and banner donate button there. Please help us out if you can. We're going to take a break, come back, and all right, back here with you on the Global Reality, right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. Glad to be back in the saddle with you tonight, folks. Glad that we're able to do a show here for you tonight. Thanks for staying up late with us. If you're listening later on an archive or a YouTube video, thank you so much for listening as well. My website, again, where this broadcast originates from, where you find all things pertaining to my work, is TheGlobalReality.com. That's TheGlobalReality.com. And you also find the chip-in banner there, and that's how you support our work. We don't have commercials. We don't have sponsors. We don't have banner ads. And nobody tries to sell you anything here at Legal Reality. You want to keep it that way. And the way that we do that is by having our listeners support our work. And so we're completely listener-supported here, 100%. And that's the way we want to keep it, so that, you just, as I've said a million times, you just can't be sure that in any form of commercial radio, be it large or small, or internet radio or mainstream radio, you just can't ever be 100% sure. And I can only say this because I was inside of it, folks, and I couldn't say what I wanted to say most of the time. But, you just cannot be sure 100% of the time that you're getting the whole story from shows that have advertising and commercials, because they want to keep that, and they want to keep that money coming in. And, it's much more difficult to have to, put all of your livelihood and support on whether or not, my thing is that if you're just doing what you're supposed to be doing, people are going to support what you're doing. Period. End of story. But when you constantly feel like you're trying to be sold to be closed, somebody's trying to close you. You know what I mean? That's what I always feel like whenever I listen to those kind of shows. Not only, there's some information in here, but goddamn, this salesman is trying to close me every 10 minutes. You want to find out information and knowledge so that, so you can expand who you are and what you're able to do, not so that, you can have a bunch of worthless products in your house that may not be good. And, there are some good stuff. There are some good things out there. I wouldn't be above having, a sponsor or two if it was, a good product. I wouldn't have commercials. I would just, tell you to go to some website and support whatever the product was. But, it's this whole model where, these networks or shows are relying on their income from commercial sponsors. It's just, it's a dice roll of whether or not you're getting the whole story or not. So there you go. Support our work if you can, and help us be able to continue. Our real immediate goal for March is just reaching the goal for the film budget, because I've got a window to do this, so that's a big goal. Somebody can help us out with that amount. I think there's like $1,300 left on there. That'd just be fantastic. Let's get into this. I was sent these links, and I've gone over this information. I've looked at it. And I got to say, just on the face of this, that I think these people are reaching. I don't see any. They don't present any either. But there is no. I looked, but there is no direct evidence actually linking Alex Jones to the supposed Israeli intelligence gathering center in Austin, Texas, known as Stratfor. Now, I had previously heard of Stratfor for just years of going through articles and seeing them referenced and stuff like that, seeing their information referenced. And I was also aware of them because earlier in the week, they WikiLeaks had done a dump of Stratfor information, Stratfor, not Stratford, Stratfor. And so, the same day that came out about WikiLeaks, Alex Jones and everybody else had it posted. But this website is now saying that Alex Jones posted that about Israel and Stratfor because they had posted an article saying that Alex Jones was a double agent for Stratfor and that he was doing that to force the views on their article down. And that could be so. And it very well could be that he has connected to this group. But my point is there's no proof. So when you have some of these accusations that are saying that he's, they said that he canceled his speaking dates because he got exposed as a double agent of Stratfor. You know what? I think that's taking a leap. That's speculation. You can't really be for sure about that, So I really have to disagree with a lot of what's said here about trying to connect Jones to this group. But I will say this. There's enough here to make me at least believe that it's a possibility. Now, I don't see any proof of that, but let me say this. And I may have to go ahead and put out the last part of Secret Volume 2 on YouTube pretty soon, just because of this information, because I don't want to give too much away if you haven't seen the film, but the information that I cover on Alex Jones and his connection to these, to Adnan Khashoggi and the connections to Israeli financiers like Carl Khan, and those connections to these, front companies and media companies that sell products and stuff. I have to say that when I go and look at Stratfor's website, the first thing I notice at that website is there's a font there on the very bottom of some subtext at the top of the Stratfor website. And I'd say it looks like the same guy that built Alex Jones' websites built the Stratfor website. Similar fonts you see in Alex Jones movies and in and also in other stuff. So there most certainly could be something to this, and I think now they're trying to say that. I don't know. I mean, there could be something to this, but they said right now there's no proof. But I think that if people look into those connections that I detail to Alex Jones and some of these Israeli financiers, and the idea that he was put out there that's why he was given advance information about 9/11, so they could steer this and create this, different narrative of events for 9/11. That still wouldn't be the truth, but would have people believing it's the truth, because most people inherently that saw 9/11, even if they don't believe any of the conspiracy theories, they know something wasn't right about that event and something wasn't right about that story. And so they had to have an alternative line of events happening. They had to have a sub narrative going. And that's what, Alex Jones and the rest of the 9/11 Truth Movement provided, so that people wouldn't look into the deeper elements of this. And there's Israeli Mossad fingerprints all over 9/11, the dancing Israelis, all that stuff. On February 12, 2012, David Chase Taylor of Truther.org broke the story that Alex Jones was likely an intelligence tool for Stratfor, a private Zionist intelligence agency located in Austin, Texas. As detailed in the original article, Stratfor admits to being an intelligence gathering center. Therefore, it stands to reason that Alex Jones and his affiliates, InfoWars and Prison Planet, have likely been gathering intelligence data and info on patriotic Americans since 1996. Coincidentally, the exact same year that Stratfor was founded. Well, but listen to that statement. Because Stratfor admits to being an intelligence gathering center, it stands to reason that Alex Jones is, not necessarily, dude. But at the same time, not necessarily not. You understand? You have to be careful about how you word these things. You need just coming out and saying that, he's absolutely affiliated with this with, from what I've seen, zero proof, just a lot of, maybes and similarities and stuff like that. But so far I've seen no proof of this. And believe me, I'm somebody who's been exposing Alex Jones probably longer than anybody. But also I know that there is stuff that gets put out that's not always factual, and you have to be careful about endorsing that stuff or getting behind it, because a lot of it is there to muddy the waters for people looking into the deeper elements. I mean, when you look at the fact that you had John Birch Society guys all over the scene and allegedly even involved directly in the murder of John F. Kennedy, and then you fast forward just a few years later after that, and all over Robert F. Kennedy. You've got, Hilder and all these other John Birch Society guys all over it there on the scene. I mean, folks, these guys are not just covering for or working with intelligence groups. They're working directly with the people who are actually pulling off these operations like 9/11 themselves. That's how fucking deep this is. So they're saying that on February 29, 2012, the exact same day that the story regarding Jones and Stratford became an internet sensation, Alex Jones and InfoWars released a news story with the word Stratford. I love that. I love that. It's an internet sensation. So what's an internet? The fact that you theorize that Alex Jones may be connected to some Israeli intelligence group in Austin, but you have zero proof, dude. We can prove beyond any shadow of a doubt that Alex Jones has consistently had members of the Council for National Policy on his show, has consistently had members of the John Birch Society on his show, Bob Dacey, who owns a True Value hardware store in Austin, who sells Alex Jones videos out of his fucking hardware store and also tries to recruit people into, truth groups and all that stuff, has been a guest host for Alex Jones, John Birch Society member. So we can prove all that. We can prove that he's had intelligence operatives connected to psychological warfare operations on his show and guests. We can prove all that. But I didn't see anything. I went through the WikiLeaks dumps and looked at the information in the documents there, and I didn't see anything in those documentations that would lead me to believe that Alex Jones is was somehow connected to the Stratford group. I just don't see the facts. But at the same time, again, you look into the connection with GCN, when you look into the connection with Adnan Khashoggi and the guy who wrote, John Gray, who wrote Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, and the fact that admittedly Khashoggi bankrolled him and he took that money and funded Barry Zwicker's first 9/11 film, and that was the first 9/11 film, but yet Jones will claim that his was the first one, when in fact, so money directly came directly from Adnan Khashoggi, funded the first 9/11 film that was made by Barry Zwicker, directly from Adnan Khashoggi. It went from Adnan Khashoggi to John Gray to Barry Zwicker. And then Jones had Zwicker on and interviewed him for the film. The interview's out there. You can go and find it. And then John Gray just happens to later be become a member of the 9/11 Truth Movement. Jones interviews him too, but yet there's no connection to GCN and the thousands of Genesis front companies that Adnan Khashoggi happens to own. He got $250 million from Carl E. Kahn. Carl E. Kahn is one of the top, most feared economists in the world. He's up there with Rockefeller. He gave Khashoggi $250 million, of which he gave the money to John Gray. John Gray writes Women Are From Mars, Men Are From Venus. He gives money to Zwicker. Zwicker makes The Ultimate Deception, or whatever it was, the 9/11 movie that came out for 9/11 Truth Stuff. And boom, next thing you know, here's Alex Jones, and he's on GCN, and here comes the infomercial product stuff, and you look at that, and you look and find out that Adnan Khashoggi invented that infomercial miracle product model of selling things and using internet and stuff to do it. And he's also happened to be the guy who's admittedly connected to the financiers of the alleged hijackers of 9/11, the patsies that they used. That's what they do with these things. They set up these the groups. Look, the products that they sell, the miracle products that these radio shows and stuff sell. This is what happens. They take money from operations. They invest it in these products. Okay, this is how they launder it. And then they have the radio hosts sell their miracle creams and their dick pills and magical machines and all this stuff. And then customers buy that, money comes in from that, and then that's how money goes out the door to fund other operations and stays clean and stays off the books. Meanwhile, what they get for their money in exchange for their trouble is that person gets notoriety, they get paid off, they get to be on TV, they get to hobnob with rock stars and movie stars, and in exchange, they give a different narrative, one that can be explained by the easy breadcrumbs that they always conveniently leave laying around for us. Then you create a sub-narrative that underlies the mainstream narrative, and boom, you get people like myself and yourself and others who are always skeptical of anything they tell us officially. We go start digging, and boom, what's the first thing we find? Alex Jones. That's how it works. So if there's anything that connects to this Stratfor stuff that falls in line with that, I would say you would be onto something. But before I got hammered with emails about this thing, I just want to say I don't agree. I don't think there's any proof linking Jones to Stratfor, but there could be, and I think it's a good lead. I would say follow up on it. Please look into the stuff that I've talked about with GCN and Cassiogi and Carla Khan and that whole thing. I mean, got to look into that. And the Heaven's Gate stuff. I mean, it's a fucking twisted web, man. But the stuff with Secret Right 2, I'm probably going to have to get that up real soon because I think right now that's important. But, I think it's a good lead, and I think it could lead to something. It is interesting. They're in Austin. It is interesting. And Jones says, oh, well, I started my radio show in 95. Yeah, but you didn't start InfoWars till 96. That's a fact. InfoWars didn't exist when he first was on the air. His show was called The Night Shift or something like that. He was on late nights in Austin. There wasn't InfoWars or anything else like that. In fact, people weren't even, there weren't very many websites around in 95 yet anyway. All right, let's see what kind of stuff we have. Yeah, the Andrew Breitbart death sparks conspiracy theories. Well, I just talked about a few days ago. Because when I heard he died, I went, really? He died? I went, they had to have offed him. Immediately when I heard that, because I said, didn't I just read a story a week ago or so that said something about Breitbart was about to come out with some bombshell videos of Obama at Harvard and all this stuff, and that he was going to release it on March 1st, and then the fucking day before, he just, like somebody turned the switch off, he just, goes flat, and immediately they come out and say it's natural causes, long before there was even any autopsies or anything done yet. They've been offing people left and right, man, from rock stars. They're offing everybody right now. Yeah, man. You think they wouldn't off somebody like him with some bombshell information like that? Yeah. Yeah, that's the level of stuff that they will kill you for. See, they're not worried about stuff like what I talk about and what I get into and stuff like that, because all the stuff that I get into is just coming strictly from my own research and years of looking at this stuff and publicly available information. I don't have secret sources or inside sources or anything like that, and I don't want them. I have had people who have been in the military, who have been over in Iraq, who have been in Afghanistan, who have been in the shit. I have had those type of people tell me things. Somebody was asking me about this in the chat room the other night. Talk about things that that people have told you not to talk about. Well, if people have told me not to talk about it, it means I'm not going to fucking talk about it. Don't ask me to talk about it on the air if I tell you I'm not going to fucking talk about it. But yes, I've known people that have been in the military who have told me things, but that I can't say on air. That's just the way it is. I didn't ask them to tell me those things, but you get to talking to people sometimes and they'll be like, yeah, I'm in the military, blah, blah. I saw this, but you can't go out and talk about that. Because that's the stuff that they'll hurt you for. That's the stuff they'll kill you for. They're not worried about the stuff that's out there and publicly available, and they're not worried about how many connections you've made and pulled together on your own, from your hours of tireless research. They're not worried about all that. What they're worried about is the kind of stuff that is considered top secret, classified, or, anything else like that could hurt their agenda significantly. But with stuff like what I do, it's just easier just to relegate me to, oh, well, that's just, the internet, or that's just, one guy or whatever else. You see, But it's undoubtedly, I mean, I am affecting things. They may not give me credit or ever recognize me or say my name, but I am affecting things. People in the mainstream media writing articles and referencing the CMP and stuff now, and you can just tell they watched my movie or heard one of my radio shows, but they won't dare ever say that, you know, where they heard that from. That's why Jones will, you know, beat around the bush and say anything, you know, whenever anybody says, you can call his mother a whore and he still won't go on air and say your name. You know what I mean? You could go on your radio show and, you know, tell some story about how you know, went over and had sex with his dog while he was out of town or something, you know, and he still wouldn't, he just, whatever the most horrid thing, you know, you put it in his wife's ear or something. You could just say whatever. And the guy still would never say your name on air because he's that afraid of giving anybody, anybody who's going to defeat him any attention. Yeah, Sheriff Joe Arpaio says Obama's birth certificate may be forged. Somebody dropped that in the chat room today. I wouldn't believe a goddamn thing that cocksucker says, even if it was true. Sheriff Arpaio, that guy has zero credibility. That dude is one of the biggest cocksuckers on the face of the planet. Fuck that guy. That guy is a Jesus. I don't even want to say. That guy, you can trust anything he says. Sheriff Arpaio, the guy who makes prisoners wear pink underwear in jail, drug offenders and stuff. I mean, he just demeans you. I mean, just, you know, he thinks because people are drug addicts, they're not human anymore. He's a sicko. I don't want to believe a goddamn thing come out of his mouth. But yeah, they did apparently leak a bunch of these the Stratford stuff, but I didn't find anything in there that made me think it was any way, shape, related to Alex Jones. But you know, who knows? They're coming out with more and more articles pertaining to, you know, Neanderthals and how, I mean, they just continually keep pushing back how far humans go, and I think that's interesting. That's happening right, you know, as we're finding more stuff out about the rock wall, and we're pushing that date back. But I just see all these, I mean, have you guys noticed this? Every week there's 3 or 4 stories now about, you know, I've got a couple here. I'll just get into it. Neanderthals beat modern humans to the seas by 50,000 years. They're saying Neanderthals were sailing 50,000 years before humans were. I mean, how are they all of a sudden, and why are they all of a sudden finding this stuff out and putting this out? You see, this is a slow thing where they're getting us ready to start accepting things like, you know, we were genetically manipulated. We were created through genetic manipulation. That's why they've allowed this on Ancient Aliens. Folks, they would not have allowed that. I started talking about that stuff in 2007, 2008, and motherfuckers wanted to laugh me off the air. And I was on the floor when I heard them talking about that stuff on Ancient Aliens for the first time a couple of years ago, because just 2 short years before that, I mean, I'm talking about laughed at by people who consider themselves conspiracy theorists. I mean, you believe laser beams and thermite and magical thermate or whatever brought down the towers, but yet, yeah, I'm crazy because, you know, they have artifacts from 5,000 years ago that have the double helix and DNA and all this stuff on it. I'm crazy for that because I read ancient texts. I really think that they're prepping us for a major rollout, a major paradigm busting thing where, because they've got to bring down the foundations of science and religion before they can merge the two and create the one world religious system they want to create. We like to think we're superior to Neanderthals, but when it came to seafaring, they were way ahead of modern humans, according to a new study. George Ferentinos of the University of Patras in Greece believes that our extinct cousins were sailing the seas about 50,000 years before us. Modern humans took to the seas 50,000 years ago, having first appeared between 100,000 and 300,000 years ago. Howard Stone, Neanderthal tools dating back at least 100,000 years have been found on the Greek mainland of the Greek islands of Lefkada, Kefalona, and Zakynthos, which means that they must have been traveling in boats. So again, more and more, and that's what I don't put a lot of stock, and I don't even 100% believe that the Project Bluebeam thing is real. Could very well could be. That's my opinion on everything. You just can't. It's hard to say and believe 100% any of this stuff is real. You just have to look at the possibilities and try to prove what you can believe is possible and what you can't. And so I don't, fully believe that the Project Bluebeam thing is 100% real. It could very well be a hoax. There are a lot of things that were said in those documentations, besides just the stuff about the Sky Show and merging all religions, that have been happening over the past several years. They talked about prior to this, it was what they're saying they're going to do is they're going to project 3D holographic images of regional religious figures. In America, it would be Christ, and Israel would be the Prophet Muhammad, just to piss all the Jewish folks off, whatever. And then it all merges into one, and that's the one where they're going to tell us all our religious texts have been misinterpreted and blah 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 blah, all this stuff. But they said prior to this being rolled out that there would be archaeological discoveries and things all around the world that would change what we know about who we are and where we came from. And that we'd also see lots of UFO sightings and stuff like that. And, both of those things have been very apparent. I mean, every day we have more and more new scientific discoveries coming out that are changing how we think. Here's another one along those same lines. Mystery as scientists find more DNA differences between chimps from two sides of the same river than from humans from different continents. Chimpanzee populations that live as neighbors have more genetic variation than humans from different continents, a study has found. The findings are believed to have important implications for chimp conservation. Scientists studied DNA from 54 African chimpanzees before looking for variations between different populations. Well, see, that's what the whole flaw. I know we evolved from apes and all that stuff. No, we didn't evolve from apes. But during some of these genetic experiments, they did take DNA from a rhesus monkey and blend it with, it created some of the different races and stuff like that. So, that's why you have some people that are Rh positive and some people that are Rh negative. I don't know where the weather's been like where you guys have. I know here in the South. Well, not in Texas yet, but you guys have obviously all heard about the tornadoes and stuff that are going on, and they're in the news. They're even saying, this is unseasonable for this right now, but it all has to do with the sun. And where I live in Dallas, the temperatures over the past month have just been fluctuating crazy. We're getting 70. It's been beautiful outside. It's been nice, but it's just been unseasonable. We haven't had a winter at all. I just want to have seasons back. Can a brother get his seasons back? You know what I mean? Jeez. We don't even have seasons anymore. But it's been fluctuating between like 70, 75, 80 degrees during the day and then dropping down to like 50, 40, 30 at night. Like fucking, like I'm living in New Mexico or something over here. But, people wonder why that is. And I just say, hey, go look at the sun. Go look what the sun is doing. And, these sunspots and sun bubbles and all this stuff. I mean, the sun is, it's going nuts right now. There is a 1 in 8 chance of a solar megastorm before 2014, according to California scientists. And other space weather experts agree that Earth is facing a burst of violent activity that will peak within 2 years. It's unknown what effects this could have on our planet, but scientists have analyzed the worst recorded solar event in history, 1859's Carrington event, and worked out what effects a similar event would have now. In our connected, satellite-reliant electronic age, the effects would be devastating, they say, as it would disrupt global communications and take out power sources that could cause up to $2 trillion worth of damage. They fear the sun could now be entering a 2-year hurricane season of solar storms. And the star flared violently on Valentine's Day this year. We live in a cyber cocoon enveloping the Earth. Imagine what the consequences might be. Yeah, it'll be like that fucking Testament song. 3 Days of Darkness in 2012. That's who was it that talked about that? Wasn't the Hopis or something that prophesied that too? I swear I want to say it was the Hopis or something that talked about 3 days of darkness and all this stuff. And if you survive through that, and you didn't go nuts, or you could just survive the 3 days, you'd be fine after that. Imagine large cities without power for a week, a month, or a year. The losses could be $1 to $2 trillion, and the effects would be felt for years. The sun has a storm cycle of around 12 years. Oh, well, imagine that. Imagine if we didn't have electricity or something for a year. Oh, my God. Or we'd have to figure out how to be real people again, wouldn't we? Had to go out and forage for our own food and cook on it, on a fire. We'd have to actually go out and talk to each other and actually have to go and we wouldn't have any entertainment. So we'd actually have to go listen to analog music. And analog music is this kind of music that's actually created and played live by a human, by a person, like on the spot. Yeah, we'd actually have to go out and do that for entertainment again. I say bring it. Fuck it. It's the idiots going crazy when they can't get their internet porn, and the soccer moms that can't go to the Gap and spend their husband's money is when you're going to have problems. That's motherfuckers you got to worry about first. Listen, get a pen. Write this down. When the shit goes down, the first motherfuckers you take out are the motherfuckers that are watching porn and the motherfuckers that are housewives. They're going out and spending their husband's money and going to the Gap and going to the mall. Those are motherfuckers you take out first. You see one of them, you shoot first, you ask questions later. Those are motherfuckers that are going to go ape shit when the stuff goes down. As soon as they shut off internet porn, riots. Dude, they can fucking shoot toddlers in the head on the White House lawn. And people ain't going to give a fuck. They'll still say, well, he's only been in there 4 years. He can't do nothing in 4 years. He's shooting toddlers in the head on the White House lawn. Well, it's Bush's fault anyway. But you shut off that porn, baby, and there is going to be fucking bedlam. So, again, when the shit goes down, you better be ready. Shoot the fucking soccer moms and the porno fucking kings first. Jesus Christ. What would we do in a world without internet porn? Jeez, I don't know. The way we used to do it? Fucking magazines. Remember that shit when you had to stroke it analog? Jeez. It's like people wouldn't dare touch a magazine. It's a magazine. You kidding? I'm jerking off to that. I got a computer. Fuck you. Well, we talked about the eugenic coaster, this theoretical thing, and I joked about, the Devastator, 2 whole minutes underwater. And, that was all well and fine when that, because that was just a theoretical design and, they probably won't ever make it. Well, unfortunately, they already have made one that has the potential to kill. And it's actually already been built. And it's actually about to start having people ride on it. The problem is, though, all their test dummies that they've had on this thing have been completely dismembered. They have their arms ripped off. They can't seem to get the test dummies' arms not to be ripped off. So I guess this is the Limb Taker. A theme park in London is set to debut a powerful new winged roller coaster this month. Oh, it's in England. I should have known. Yeah, all the eugenic stuff. It's probably this is the Tavistock coaster. Oh yes, cheerio, mate. Come down and ride the eugenic coaster. Ride the Tavistock coaster with me, your host, David Icke. I'll be giving a 15,000-hour seminar on how you can change your consciousness, mate. You only need to look at the Rothschilds. You needn't look any further, mate. We're going to come down here and raise the awareness and the consciousness on this ride. Oh, Jesus! It only starts there first. But they have to figure out first how to not dismember its riders. Time reports that Thorpe Park has been conducting test runs of its new coaster, the Swarm, even enlisting fighter pilots who describe the ride as gut-wrenching. Now, when I was a young lad, before I got into punk rock and realized that we were being lied to, I was at 13, 12, 13, and young and didn't know anything. I was really into jets and used to go to air shows and, all this. I thought I wanted to be a pilot when I was younger. So I got all into it. But, one of the things I remember reading is that fighter pilots, when they're pulling a large amount of G's, they black out, while they're operating a plane and stuff. And it's very, very grueling on the body to operate one of these planes. Well, these fighter pilots who rode this coaster said it was gut-wrenching. When a fighter pilot says that, folks, not good. So it looks like they actually, not only is the eugenic coaster a reality, it's already here. Listen to this. The self-described flight through apocalyptic devastation on Europe's tallest winged roller coaster propels up to 28 riders at a time with their arms and legs dangling freely at 62 miles per hour, and includes trips through an inverted 127-foot drop and several close encounters with walled structures that are designed to make passengers feel like they're about to crash. The ride's designers ran some test runs with crash test dummies, leaving many shocked when the dummies returned from the experience missing arms and legs. A team of former British fighter pilots were then brought in as the coaster's preparation neared completion. Mark Cutmore, team leader of the Blades, a stunt pilot organization, told the Metro, "I'm a self-confessed adrenaline junkie. But even as a pilot used to G-force, there were some gut-wrenching moments, and I have to admit the near-miss element is eye-watering. You really do feel as if you're going to crash into the ground." You watch. There'll be fucking arms and legs popping off people left and right on this fucking thing, and there'll be people lined up for miles to ride it. "Oh, yeah, dude, my buddy came in here last week, dude, yeah. Yeah, he lost an arm and a leg, dude, yeah. But his sister only lost her leg, so that's cool, I'm hoping if they have to take one, I'm hoping they take my left, though, So let me make sure that I get to sit on the inside cart, because I need to keep my right hand. They can take my left leg and take my left arm. For God's sakes, leave my jerk in hand. You know what I mean? That's just let's get down to brass tacks here. Who wants to live forever? Russian project aims to transplant a human brain into Davros-style robot body within 10 years. Shebanga. I've been reading for the past 10 years. Kurzweil and all these transhumanists say that the singularity won't be here for another 40, 50, 60 years. Bullshit. Inside the actual transhumanist meetings, they're projecting and have been projecting for some time the singularity will reach us by 2015. That is the point at which computer processing reaches the capacity of the human brain and then surpasses it. And I've been on radio shows and have talked about the singularity being here by 2015, and people have said I'm out of my mind. And I don't know what I'm talking about. Folks, it's on the way. The technology is available right now. Human minds could be downloaded into robots within 10 years, allowing human beings to live forever, says the Russian entrepreneur who heads a high-tech research project called, oh, wow, what do they call it? Come on, say it with me. 1, 2, 3. Avatar. Of course. Of course. If you were going to start a company and you were going to, download human minds into robots within 10 years, what else would you call it? You'd have to call it Avatar, right? Give me a break. How long has it been since that movie came out? 2 years? It's real clear now what that movie was all about, isn't it? Yep, they were prepping us for that. They were getting ready for that. And when that movie came out, I remember when it came out and told people that was going to be here in a few years. Think, oh well, it might be there in 40 or 50 years. No, it's going to be here in the next 10. No, it won't be here in 10. Yeah, sure enough, they're acclimating us and getting us acclimated to accepting this stuff, and they do it in a slow manner. They are ultimately afraid, folks, that if they put too much too fast upon human society, that the society will just collapse in itself from being overwhelmed with too much information, and then their supremacy is over. So they do slow acclimations to stuff, and this has been going on for quite some time. Itzkoff, a media entrepreneur, claims to have hired 30 scientists to reach his goal and is now looking for other scientists to help with the project. how about you call us when you got your first immortal on your hands? You know what I mean? I mean, you can talk about this stuff all day long, but when you actually got your hands on a real, actual immortal, and you've actually transferred that person's brain into the computer, and it's all good, and that person's really still there. I mean, really, do you really want to give up your body? How does that work? I would just have if somebody walked up to me right now and said, you don't need your body anymore. We're going to transfer your mind into this robot. It's all you ever need, and you're going to be immortal. My first question would be, why should I believe that you're not just going to kill me and then claim that that's me in the computer? How would you ever know? I don't know. The idea of trading the body in for something else. I mean, I understand the augmenting of the cybernetics and all that stuff. But when you're talking about physically giving up or transferring your soul, I don't know, man. From everything I've read and the esoteric stuff, this is dangerous territory. And it's going to come down to that, folks, sooner than later. It's going to come down to that in your lifetime. I think every single one of us in our lifetime, in the very near future, probably within the next 10 years, are going to be forced to make a decision of whether or not we want to stay human, natural borns, and, live our little short life cycle and die, or whether or not we want to choose to be immortals and merge with machines. And I think that most people are going to choose to merge with machines and become immortals. And, those who don't choose to go that route, most people will be pressured into doing it eventually, just because they don't want to be different and they don't want to be ruled over and enslaved by these, robotic immortals. Well, fuck that. I'm not going to be your bitch slave. I'll become one too. Okay, sign me up. Here we go. You know what I mean? That's how it's going to be. That's how it's going to be. But you'll have to, it'll be just like, you'll have to be Richard Branson or something like that to afford it. Or, it won't be cheap and for everybody, but it'll be possible. I just don't like the idea of, your soul being entrapped, Isn't there that phrase in the Bible that says something about in the end of times, men will seek to kill themselves or destroy themselves, but they'll be unable to, because it talks, there's clear warnings in there, and there's clear warnings in the, in the Sumerian text and stuff like that, because, it becomes real apparent that we like to think that the things that we experience as a society and cultural and historically and as a race on this earth, humans, that this is the first rodeo. And that all of our experiences and everything that happens on this earth is just unique to Earth and its people. And it's not, folks. This stuff's been going on for eons on other places other than Earth. And it does appear that we're going down these same roads that people in the past has gone on. And I don't know, this idea of soul enslavement and the idea that the people, who run the earth were, cast out of heaven or cast out of the heavens or cast out of, wherever. And the only way they can get back in is to storm the gates of heaven through technology. And that's why they're, the Norway spiral and all this, why they want all this Sumerian text and why they're going and looting antiquities. It's because they control this material realms. They don't control the spiritual realms. But if they can control spiritual individuals, spiritual beings that are trapped in these three-dimensional human bodies, and then keep them trapped permanently in the material realm, they can keep themselves a permanent immortal force in the material realm indefinitely. They're building an army, folks, because they are aware of changes that are probably coming to our planet at some point, which are going to change the DNA structure of humans, cause our DNA to become activated, 12-strand DNA activation, we become light beings. I mean, why do you think that all the things in your body that can cause that to happen are being attacked by the food and the water and the air and everything? MSG is in everything. Doesn't allow your DNA to resonate in the proper way. Same thing with aspartame or any of these excitotoxins. Fluoride calcifies your pineal gland. It's not a coincidence that all that stuff is being pumped into the food and water and everything else, folks. They're trying to keep us from ascending spiritually so that they can keep us trapped in three-dimensional matter. And that's what this merging with machine stuff is all about. And goddamn it, if people don't find out and listen to the words that I'm saying right now, there is going to come a time very soon where people you know and love are going to be ill-informed and they're going to choose to do this, and they're going to lose their souls. Because how do we know the soul exists? Well, I don't know, but I'll tell you this. You know who does believe the soul exists? These goddamn transhumanists do. You know why? Because I've actually read their writings and read stuff from the Transhumanist Society and stuff. They talk about how they say that they can replicate a human to a T, 100%. They can create a machine that runs on, tubes and has liquid pumped into it that accurately works just like the human body does. But what they cannot do and what they cannot figure out, and what the best minds that they put on it cannot figure out, is how to animate that body once they create it. They cannot figure out how to animate the body and make it have a soul and a spirit. And I think that when you look at, my God, folks, they have a theosophical temple inside the United Nations. You understand that? They have a theosophical meditation room inside the UN. They have theosophists and stuff in there that are UN members that actually channel entities and channel and talk to entities from other worlds and other dimensions. And I think that these people at the highest levels of the secret societies that are in science and in government and the rest of this stuff and in the Vatican have been channeling these entities for years, and these entities have been manipulating humankind into building them the perfect Trojan horse. Because they want to be in our dimension so they can rule, but they're in other dimensions where they don't have a physical plane body. But if these transhumanists can figure out how to animate that body, they can create whatever kind of Trojan horse body they want and get these entities or whatever they are from these other dimensions to inhabit that, and boom, you got yourself a spiritual takeover. And they've been doing this for a long time, and the highest people have been interested in channeling entities, and from John Dee and on and on and on. So yeah, it's absolutely, it's a real phenomenon. Man, oh man, oh man. Let's see what else we have here. Flying autonomous robots perform James Bond theme. You guys seen this? The little small copter things we saw. Yeah, now they've got them playing keyboards. Yeah, that's just hilarious. Oh, it's so cute. Yeah, Invasion of the Drones is so cute. I got to tell you, I'm looking forward to this. I know it's only going to be in Beverly Hills for now, but goddamn it, I hope it catches on so they'll put one where I live, because I would love to be able to get off air one night and go hit one of these up. This is the shit right here. 24-hour ATM dispenses cupcakes instead of cash for your midnight sugar cravings. Oh, man. Oh, stoners around the world are rejoicing right now. Soon, nobody in Beverly Hills will ever have to go through a whole night craving for sweets again, thanks to an ATM that dispenses cupcakes. Popular cupcake bakery chain Sprinkles recently announced that it will soon open a new and unusual contraption installed on its Beverly Hills storefront to further emphasize the sweetness of what the instant cupcake dispenser can offer you. The company had it painted a cute, sugary pink. So 24 hours a day, you can go up and get yourself a cupcake out of an ATM. That's progress. All of our uphill grinding as a species for millennia has culminated in the 24-hour cupcake ATM. My God. We should rejoice ourselves as a species because the pinnacle has been reached. I mean, that's the biggest thing we got. That's our accomplishment. It's the biggest accomplishment we got in 2012. We have a cupcake ATM now that's painted pink. Wow. All the death, all the war, it's all gone to that? Really? And this, Japanese researchers have created a handheld gun that can jam the words of speakers who are more than 30 meters or 100 feet away. The gun has two purposes. According to the researchers, at its most basic, this gun could be used in libraries and other quiet spaces to stop people from speaking, but its second application is a lot more chilling. The researchers were looking for a way to stop louder, stronger voices from saying more than their fair share in conversation. So they can actually shut you up and not make you talk now by just pulling the trigger of a gun. That's just fantastic. Can we shoot one of those at Man Coulter, please? Anonymous hackers claim they were infiltrated. Yeah, could have told you that, bucko. I don't trust those guys any more than I trust any of these other clowns. New evidence suggests that Stone Age hunters from Europe discovered America. And we've talked about that before, the Altai Mountains, but that's what we're starting to see more and more. I think it's very possible that the first inhabitants that, we call cavemen or whatever, Cro-Magnon, didn't come from, they could have very well come from within the earth. New archaeological evidence suggests that America was first discovered by Stone Age people from Europe 10,000 years before the Siberian originating ancestors for the American Indians set foot in the New World. A remarkable series of several dozen European-style stone tools dating back between 19,000 and 26,000 years have been discovered at 6 locations along the U.S. East Coast. 3 of the sites are on the Delmarva Peninsula in Maryland, discovered by archaeologist Dr. Darren Lowry of the University of Delaware. 1 is in Pennsylvania and another in Virginia. A 6th was discovered by scallop dredging fishermen on the seabed 60 miles from the Virginian coast on what in prehistoric times would have been dry land. The new discoveries are among the most important archaeological breakthroughs for several decades and are set to add substantially to our understanding of humanity's spread around the globe. The similarity between other later East Coast U.S. and European Stone Age tool techniques has been noted before. And that's fascinating to me because it does show that, some of these structures and stuff that we're finding that are underground that I'm documenting and stuff, that very well could have been built by some of these races, and that there were people here even before, the quote unquote Native Americans. And I think that's an important precedent to set and to show people. This is one of the more bizarre stories you'll come across. Somebody posted this in the chat room the other day, and I saw this. This originally came out in 2007. It's not a news story, but people were putting in the chat room. I guess I don't know. Some people may thought it was new, but it's actually not a news story. But it's interesting because it's one of those things where, if you're going to ban something, that some people say isn't real. Wouldn't banning something mean that would be an admission that it is real? I mean, there were parts of the Bible that were taken out where Jesus talked about, reincarnation and believing it was real. But apparently back in 2007, China had banned reincarnation without government permission. So if you're a Buddhist, you have to go ask permission of the government before you can reincarnate. But I mean, to me, that's just, that's an admission that reincarnation is real. And of course, it is, and people for thousands of years have known that it is. But that's one of the key things that they want to trick us into. I advise that everybody at some point in their lives read the Tibetan Book of the Dead and read about how, because they talk about how these different realms, they try to scare you, after death into coming back down and reincarnating back down on Earth and supposedly that white light is what keeps you reincarnating and you're supposed to ignore that and all this stuff. I don't know. But it's definitely one of those things that I always think about and try to research and find out more on. That's for sure. All right, let's see if we have any more stories here tonight. Teen speaks to CBS 3 about her ability to instantly say words backwards. Unexplainable. This woman, this girl just started, 14-year-old girl just started talking backwards one day for no explainable reason. And that's happened quite a bit. There's been people who have around the world who have just started talking, woke up one day and they spoke fluent German. Never even knew a word of it before. It's just, it's just these crazy numbers. It makes you wonder why there's those people that have those strokes. I start, saying all these weird things and they have a stroke. That's odd too. But my God, we just live in an electromagnetic just net constantly. TV, signals, cell phone towers. We just don't have any quantifiable data for the effects of these kind of things on humans because it hasn't been around long enough. You know what I'd love to see? Here's something else you don't ever see quantifiable data on. I would like to see what cancer numbers in the United States of America looked like prior to the advent of microwave ovens and prior to microwave ovens being in everybody's home. I would have to think with that much radiation constantly being used and poured out and exposed to that I would have to think that prior to there being microwave ovens in everybody's homes, that cancer rates were lower. But you never see data on that. You never see data on the effect the cell phone towers are having or any of this stuff. So we don't know for sure. You start to see all these new unexplained deaths and unexplained medical phenomenon like Morgellons and stuff like that, and some of this chemtrail stuff. But the chemicals that they've pumped in the air, the chemicals they pumped in the food, the genetically modified stuff, all of this has no measurable data. And in fact, everybody who's alive right now, we're being guinea pig. They do this every generation for the things that are going to be accepted over the next 50 years. That's why they're pushing GMO foods on us right now and see how far we'll go on that. And it's good that a lot of people are fighting it, becoming aware of that. But, they've been testing this GMO stuff on us, been feeding this stuff for a lot longer than people have known it's been around. That's the problem. We're going to leave it there for tonight. I want to thank everybody for tuning in and being with us here tonight, staying up late with us. TheGlobalReality.com is my website. And please support our work for us. We are low in the bank after getting all the bills paid. We didn't quite meet our goal, but please support our work at the donate button or the chip-in banner if you can. And also, please help us meet our goal for our preliminary budget for the rock wall film, the underground, or just the hidden, I don't even know what it's going to be called yet, but it's a rock wall film. I'm just calling it for now, even though it's going to deal with more than that. But we have a goal set there with the chip-in banner as well. We've got to meet that goal by the end of March. Please help us do that so we can get this film done, folks. And you know what? Let's change some things. We're already starting to do it. And, more and more, I get more emails and more things, people saying that, thank you for waking me up and waking me up to this element of it. And, it goes both ways. Thank you for being smart enough to figure it out. I'm happy to just be here as the conduit for that to happen. So please support our work so I can continue to be that conduit for people because, as much as it's hard to admit to myself sometimes, and it is, hard to admit it to myself sometimes and accept it, but, you have to a little bit anyway. But, I am having an effect. And I have changed people's lives, and you can too. Please support our work if you can. My name's Josh Reeves. I love each and every one of you, and we'll see you next time. You guys have yourselves a great